Welcome to Thinking Like a Lawyer with your hosts Ellie Mistal and Joe Patrice, talking about legal news and pop culture, all while thinking like a lawyer. Here on Legal Talk Network.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Thinking Like a Lawyer. I'm Joe Patrice from Above the Law. I'm joined by Kathryn Rubino. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Kathryn, also of Above the Law and the host of the Jabot podcast. She is filling in because yet again, Ellie has decided to abandon us, but...
I'm actually just going to put this podcast on my resume these days because I feel like I do it as much, if not more than Ellie. So I feel like that I deserve that entry on my CV.
I think over the last couple of months, you have actually done it more often. So I think that's probably fair.
It's a totally fair thing.
So we'll take this again from the top. Welcome to Thinking Like a Lawyer with your usual hosts. Joe and Kathryn. Hey, so how are you doing this fine day?
I'm good. I know this is kind of cliche, but I think that giving, the coming climate cataclysm, I think we actually can talk about the weather without just being boring people.
Okay.
Because yesterday it was 90 degrees.
Yeah. And it is not today.
It is absurd, first of all, how much it is absolutely. It's like in the low 50s today.
No, it's not.
But
but you're overreacting.
It was this morning.
At one point when the sun wasn't up, it was cold.
Morning.
Yeah.
No, but also I was watching the local news and some weather person was very excited about the possibility that we were going to hit 90 yesterday because, it's a record.
Yeah.
And it made me really sad because it's only a record because of global warming.
Yeah.
And just kind of the disconnect between, isn't this exciting? We're hitting 90 degrees.
I have some.
It's October, right?
I have some sympathy. Look, you're a weather person.
You don't get many big stories.
What really is your exciting? The only other thing is if you get chosen to be the poor schmuck in the slicker out in the middle of a hurricane. That's the only other time you're going to have any fun. I feel like.
I don't know, but I think instead of being like, this is exciting, be like, this is terrifying.
This is like when things go really wrong and everybody has to turn around and realize, oh, there's an ERISA person. It doesn't come up all that often. And then,
but when it does, it's very exciting for that person.
But yeah, there's legal equivalents to that, is what I'm saying.
There are. But you know what's been kind of fun this week also?
What has been fun this week also? I love you're doing a good job of making this seem like natural conversation instead of
when you're absolutely calling me out for it.
Yeah.
Instead of a planned conversation that we're having. Although, honestly, it wasn't planned as much as these are just things that I want to talk about.
Go for it.
Well, there have been a bunch of law school students on television this week.
Okay.
Earlier this week, there was a student that appeared on Wheel of Fortune.
Okay.
I don't know if you like Wheel of Fortune as much as I do.
Not at all.
But you've seen Wheel of Fortune.
I have, in fact, seen Wheel of Fortune.
Kristen Byrne from the University of New Mexico School of Law was on Wheel earlier this week. She was not the big winner.
Oh.
Not the big winner, but she did at one point get the $1 million token. Are you familiar with the $1 million token, how it works on Wheel?
Yeah, it's kind of a lie, right?
Bull crap. It is no.
Yeah.
It is not don't even put it on there. Okay, first of all, even if they only have the teeniest little third of a actual spoke on the wheel is actually just $1 million. So it's really, really small chance you're even going to land on it in the first place, first of all. Second of all, you have to be the big winner and get to the game at the bonus game at the end.
And you can't have gotten a bankrupt any time.
Right.
Yeah.
If you get any bankrupt in any of the games, you lose as one of those tokens that you physically lose if you hit your bankruptcy. And then it's not like, okay, well, you got to the end. Well, then, if you solve the puzzle at the end, which is hard, then you get $1 million. No. All it means is that one of the options, like a 1 in 64 chance that you could be eligible to win $1 million. And don't even put the $1 million on. It's not worth it. Maybe they put it on during the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire kind of hotness. But at this point, it's just a lie.
Yeah, I wonder. This is where I feel like our statistician friends would be more useful. I'd be interested in hearing if somebody can run through the numbers on what the actual odds are of you ending up with $1 million based on that.
Seems super, super low. And generally speaking, I feel like Wheel of Fortune is one of the more generous game shows, like all of the contestants get to keep their winnings, not just the big winner, right? So if you win, and the minimum is something like $1,000, right?
Okay.
So like no matter what, you're getting $1,000 for a half hour of work, even if you literally do no other work, which is fairly nice, right? And like, you know, if you win $8,000, like Christian did, she got to keep her $8,000. She wasn't the big winner, but she still got $8,000, which is not like a bad payday. It's pretty nice as far as game shows go. It's better than like Jeopardy, right? Who like doesn't matter if you come in second by $1 with $26,000, you're getting $2,000.
Yeah,
right?
I always feel bad for the second and third place Jeopardy people.
I mean, I guess it goes the other way.
First, though, is really
keep
making
it.
bank these days. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, I guess it kind of goes the other way too, right? If you finish with $1 and you're second, you also get $2,000.
You get to 2,000.
But I feel like it happens less frequently. But so my point is just that I feel like it's relatively generous as far as the game show market goes, and yet I don't even know. Like, don't fake me out with this $1 million. It's not real. And I've only ever really seen like somebody get to the point where it's even a possibility that they get to spin the mini wheel to maybe land on the $1 million prize, like maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I think somebody only like actually solved the puzzle then like once, as far as my recollection goes. I mean, obviously I don't watch it every day, most of the time. But my point is like it's already so rare. Like it just seems a little ridiculous to not even like really do it. Like make it another prize. Make it something else that's more fun.
Yeah.
That you're willing to actually give away.
Yeah. No, I mean, okay. I don't really know where to take that. That doesn't seem...
Well, game shows,
I mean,
law school students.
Yeah, okay. I mean, so in a lot of ways, you're saying this was a metaphor for the experience of law school. She was promised a lot of money.
And it was
ultimately, it's almost impossible to get access to that. And at the end, she didn't end up with it.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, this particular contestant, Christian, she actually hit bankruptcy a couple times. So she didn't even like, and again, she wasn't the big winner. So she didn't even get a chance to play for it. But at one point, she got to pick up the $1 million little card. And that's a thing she got to do.
She had an interview, is what you're saying. Yeah. That's the metaphor, kids.
Basically.
That's the metaphor. So there were other people on TV?
Yeah, another game show.
Ooh, okay.
We actually wrote about this a couple weeks ago because one of the contestants on Survivor this year is a Duke Law School student. Yeah, I mean,
everybody roots for Duke.
Fair enough. But actually, there's a few other legal personalities on the game on Survivor this season as well. I think on each tribe, there's currently a personal injury attorney. But Molly was in law school. She's a second-year law student at Duke. And spoiler alert, last night, she got kicked off the show.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a very dramatic. I don't know if you're a big fan of Survivor anymore.
No.
Okay. All right. I get it's not 2001 anymore.
It is not.
But I still enjoy the competition reality TV genre.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
You're not being nice to me here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway, Molly got blindsided. She was kind of in league with 2 other kind of power-ish players. I mean, it's only the second week, right? So I don't know, but power play is really fair. But she had a little alliance going with Jamal and Jack, and they kind of thought that they were running the game.
That's never good. Hubris.
Hubris. They thought that either Endora or Jason was going to get kicked out because they were kind of on the outs. They're kind of the unpopular kids, whatever.
He's a lawyer, too.
Yeah, he's one of the 2 personal injury attorneys that I was talking about, Jason. She thought one of those 2 would get her little crew was going to, work behind the scenes, except it was not behind the scenes, and it was incredibly obvious and made everyone else in the tribe think that she was really a power player, and it was better to get a power player out early rather than later and blindside her, which is exactly what happened in her post, after you get kicked out, they do a little interview with the person who's just gotten kicked out on the show. And she's like, I am humbled by this. She had no idea it was coming. Her face when, she kind of thought that the 2 people that she was targeting might vote for her. But when the 3rd vote came, that was when she knew everything was kind of all off the rails. And it was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You just stopped actually engaging with me. I'm not Ellie, so I'm not into monologues.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, you're doing a fantastic job of it. So,
I mean, I'd prefer not to. I'd prefer to have a conversation.
No, I mean, look,
you're obviously doing something else.
I am. Yeah.
What is more important than the actual job we're doing?
Researching for the show.
What research are you doing? What do you need to know? Are you researching about Survivor?
No, looking for other legal people who were on TV. That's all.
Well, I mean, last year, one of the big players on Survivor finished towards the top of the pack was also a law school student, War Dog. I don't know if you watched last year's Survivor, but he did really well. But it kind of blew up on him at the end before the very end of the show. But he did pretty well. He got, So I guess, I don't know, maybe being a lawyer is a good skill for being on Survivor.
Yeah. So what else is, I could see how that's a metaphor,
Yeah.
And we're just trying to do some sort of connection here. So
literally, you don't have to have a connection to the law since it's literally a law student.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's actually things people care about. Like, this is like somebody in the industry that is doing a thing, and we can talk about it.
That's fair. Yeah. No, I hear you.
So what have you been watching on TV this week?
Not much, actually. I guess I was thinking of, there's another lawyer who's going to be on TV tonight, even though for very different reasons. But as we're recording this, we're learning that Gordon Kaplan has been sentenced.
He has.
Gordon Kaplan, as you may know, as a former guest of this show, if you want to go back through the archives.
Yes.
And
not about the reason why he's kind of
not
infamous.
for the reason he's now infamous, but we actually interviewed him a while back about his pro bono work.
Yeah, he's a former co-chair of Wilkie Farr.
Right.
Has an M&A practice.
He ultimately, it turns out, Varsity Blues strikes so many. And he was involved in, trying to get his daughter in.
Yeah, he paid money to have a testing coach take his daughter's exam after she finished it, take it to a back room and correct the answers so that she would get a higher score.
Yeah.
That was the actual thing he was convicted of or pled guilty to. And he had asked for no jail time because he's like, my career is over, my life is over.
Yeah, I mean, which is an interesting move, and one that, so I was a white-collar defense attorney. Writing sentencing memos is a thing that I did with some regularity, and that's a large part of it, to say, look, you don't need to punish me any further.
Justice
I've already
served.
lost all this.
Yeah.
I did all these things. On the other hand, there's a question, and I think this was what the prosecutors really honed in on, which is, it's a fine line about like, oh, I do all these nice things, and kind of admitting that only people of a certain level of privilege are in a position to do those sorts of nice things.
Sure.
You kind of have to have a multi-million-dollar M&A practice to then lose a multi-million-dollar M&A practice and complain about it.
Sure.
You have to, be in a position to do serious and important and life-changing pro bono work in order to claim that you've done serious life-changing pro bono work,
Yeah.
And at what point does the system take into account that it's putting its thumb on the scales in favor of people in those positions when we view these mitigating circumstances and respect them? The prosecutors wanted several months worth of jail time. They wanted 8 months of jail time.
Which is actually exceeds the largest sentence that's been handed down thus far.
Thus far, in this case.
Yep. Yeah. The shortest was Felicity Huffman, Desperate Housewives. She got 14 days, and the longest, two other defendants got 4 months apiece. So 4 months has kind of been the high water mark thus far.
And Kaplan himself changed at the last minute, kind of started making noise that maybe 2 weeks, like Felicity, was appropriate sanction.
Yeah, he's like, if I have to go to jail.
Right. So what ended up happening?
1 month.
1 month.
1 month.
It's kind of a split the baby.
Still on
kind
the
of
lower
answer.
end.
Yeah, on the lower end.
Definitely on the lower end.
Yeah, I mean, it's also one of those issues. We were talking about the levels of privilege problem.
Sure.
So this all happened in Connecticut, where he's sentenced, and
I thought it was Boston.
Well, good point. Fair enough. So the case is in Boston, but I mean, he's a Connecticut person.
Correct.
He's in, right.
Correct.
Which there's a reason I'm saying Connecticut. So just let it roll.
Well, I'm sorry. I just didn't want anybody to think that we didn't know what was going
that's
on.
fair.
In the
That's fair.
case.
That's fair. It was Boston prosecutors. That's true.
Right. So it happened in Boston.
Yeah, but this Connecticut resident sets up a interesting dichotomy, though, I felt, as, he's getting 14 days for a month. He's getting a month for taking steps to kind of fraudulently improve his daughter's college career.
Mm-hmm.
But Connecticut's the state where a woman received a 5-year sentence for enrolling her child in a different school district that she didn't actually live in. And the dichotomy there of two people attempting to get the best for their kids couldn't really be much starker.
Yeah. No, it could not. It could not be. No, that is a great kind of callback.
Yeah.
Especially when, big part of his mitigation defense is that like I'm just being a parent is so hard and I'm just trying to do the best for my kid.
Yeah. And the argument, if somebody wanted to be a troll, the argument they would raise is he may have been paying to, get past qualifications to get in that were fraudulent, but ultimately he would have paid the school for the kid to go there. And so that's different than a woman who was kind of taking advantage of property taxes she wasn't paying. But even if you want to go down that road, you're kind of a horrible person. Because it also speaks to the real troubling ways in which we allow school districts to be unevenly and improperly funded across the country.
An absolute disgrace.
Without anybody trying at the state level, if not higher up, to demand that there be some sort of... Frankly, I've always thought... I don't know if it would work, but I'm one of those people who thinks that the answer should be running on a... You can run on a... If you can't get state control and localities don't want to give that up, you can run on a luxury tax model like baseball and just say if it's good enough for the Yankees, it's good enough. And just say you can property tax the hell out of your neighborhood and all, but at a point when you're out of step with everybody else,
you got to pay.
Increasingly high numbers of your money gets reappropriated and sent other places. And you can keep driving it up as high as you want, just more and more of it has to go elsewhere. I think that might do
Seems
something.
Seems the bare minimum, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the bare minimum, and at least it would allow people to still have the illusion of the control that they, for whatever reason, want.
Sure.
I don't know. But no, that was what struck me when I kept seeing, because a lot of the headlines today refer, because amazingly the head of Wilkie Farr is not a household name outside of our little universe. So a lot of the mainstream media are referring to Connecticut lawyer being sentenced. And that's
I was wondering where you're going with that.
And that's why it triggered with me that, Connecticut, I remember there being a story about Connecticut, and that's how I came to this discussion.
I like it.
Yeah. So that's neither here nor there. So you have other television appearances? You thought this was going to sustain a whole episode, did you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, 10 minutes ago when I got the call, I was like, "Well, here's some stuff."
Yeah, fair enough.
Here's some stuff. Yeah. I know. What? Can we talk more about Dr. Leon, the lawyer cat?
I mean, I'm pretty confident we can always talk about Dr. Leon.
Seriously though, I mean, I can absolutely see this as a Disney movie, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like a poor homeless cat gets shelter from a storm, gets adopted, and then they create an entire like pro bono practice for animals that are also in similar terrible situations. I mean, I'd watch that.
Yeah.
I also like that it doesn't have necessarily a romantic subplot, which I kind of like the new trend in Disney movies of not having romantic subplots. Like Moana, even like Frozen had like a minor one, but like it turns out like, the Hans was actually the bad guy. Yeah. And like, it was kind of like one of the initial
Spoiler alert.
Well, oh, sure. Yeah. Fair.
No,
but one of the lines that Elsa has to Anna, she's like, you've known him a day, you can't marry him. And I'm like, yes, thank you, finally. But I kind of like the kind of newer tradition of there being like like Inside Out doesn't have any kind of romantic subplots. Like that used to be a thing. Like the only kind of kid movies that there were like Cinderella, Snow White, very heavy on the romance, which is not super appropriate for 3 and 5-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of like the new trend, and I feel like Dr. Leon would very much fit within that category of the new Disney.
I mean, you don't know his life.
I suppose I don't. I suppose I don't. I do know he was fixed.
Dr. Leon was down there. He was a player before.
Oh, he was like a bitty cat. Aw, so cute. But he has in fact been fixed. So and recovering appropriately. That's the other thing that
they shared.
They did. His like human representatives have been updating his social media accounts on the regs. Which is kind of nice to see.
Yeah, no, obviously that was a fantastic story for you, and it made people's day.
I mean, the best fan mail I've gotten, or reader response that I've gotten since I've been at Above the Law is absolutely for that story.
Yeah.
Because, most of the time people are just, the people who decide to write to people on the internet are not your fan, right?
Though, what you could do if you are listening to this and have questions, by all means, write us, and we can occasionally we'll see if we can find a situation where we can go through the mailbag.
Definitely do mailbag stuff.
And actually, I'm gonna go one further. In particular, if you are current law students who've gone through your early interview process and are right now weighing a few options as far as offers, that's always a good thing to send us, because we're willing to have some conversations, in broad strokes about whether or not one firm versus the other might be a better fit for what you're after. So
yeah, and you can send any of those queries you might have to tips, TIPS, at abovethelaw.com. And if you put thinking like a lawyer and or the offer into the subject line, we'll be able to take a look at those and give you our 2 cents.
Oh yeah, we just named the whole thing, huh?
I mean, right?
Offer.
Yeah. I figured you were thinking of it kind of like a corollary to the decision series that you and Ellie do.
Yes, and we've done this before, and unfortunately, it's possible because of the way time lags operate that we won't be able to answer your question before you have to make the offer.
Do not put off actually making a decision.
Yeah, but we will try to, and your situation could very well be informative for future folks who need to go through it. So you would be doing a service.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, all right.
It's raining.
It is.
I don't really want to go out there.
Yeah.
But I don't think I have much more to say.
No, you don't. So with all of that said, we will wrap things up a little.
See you next week.
A little early. Well, I mean, Ellie might be back next week.
LOL.
Yeah. So with that said, thanks for listening to the show. You should be subscribed to it.
The best part is that Ellie's not going to listen to this podcast, and he's not even going to know. I mean,
he'll have no idea.
About.
Yeah.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
It's like behind the scenes, like super shady.
Yeah. Anyway, you should be listening to this. You should be giving it reviews and stars and saying nice things. It helps with the algorithm. You should listen to Kathryn's podcast, The Jabot. You should be reading Above the Law. Follow us on social media. I'm at Joseph Patrice. She's at Kathryn1, both on Twitter. You should listen to the offerings of the Legal Talk Network. There are a bevy of podcasts there on all sorts of different niche interests within the legal field, and so you should check some of those out on the network. And with all that said, I think we're done, and maybe one of us will end up on TV soon. I don't know.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. You can also find us at AboveTheLaw.com, ATLRedline.com, iTunes, RSS, Twitter, and Facebook. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.